we will continue with the Hajj topic. If you remember in the last classes when we were talking about Hajj topic, we did some topics separately. If you like, we talked about miqat. I will recap quickly. We talked about miqat. We talked about after miqat. We talked about ihram. We talked about tawaf as a detailed discussion there. After we were done with these three topics. We moved to the next topic, that is method of Hajj. And we talked about method of Hajj, and we discussed about 2 days of Hajj mainly. The first one was 8th of Zilhajj, and the second one was 9th of Zilhajj, and the third thing we discussed is the night between 9th and 10th of Zilhajj. Okay, so yes, so 9th and 10th of Zilhajj we have discussed about it. But when I was going on with the detail of 10th of Zilhajj, I personally noticed it will be good if I explain two things to you before I move to the actions of 10th of Zilhajj there. What are the two things which we need to understand related to it? One is Qurbani, the sacrifice. We need to talk about that one. And we also need to know about the word Rami of Jamarat. There is a detail related to it. I personally want to discuss that first. And the Sa'i also, we need to talk about Sa'i, but Sa'i, I will come to it a bit later. On 10th of Zilhajj, we do stoning of shaitan actually. So the stoning of shaitan needs to be, stoning of shaitan needs to be understood. यहीं पे कहीं बैठ नहीं बातें होगी इधर आते हैं यू कैन सिट हियर अच्छा ठीक है नहीं फिर भी क्लोज बैठेंगे ना तो कोई ना कोई बातें होंगी ओके खाकान अगेन सॉरी इसीलिए ना दैट्स व्हाई आई एम आस्किंग यू कि थोड़ा सा डिस्कशन बाद में करनी है आपने पहले इधर फोकस करना है एनीवे we have to understand the concept of jamarat first. I wanted to show you the picture of jamarat, but I forgot to download that image here. There are 3 pillars. We have to understand it, which are placed where in Mina. What is the background behind Jamarat? Here, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam's son, when he was going to sacrifice his son Ismail alayhi salam, Shaitan tried to stop Hazrat Ibrahim at 3 places. Every time when Hazrat Ibrahim tried to go to sacrifice his son, Shaitan used to come and he used to confuse Hazrat Ibrahim or ask Hazrat Ibrahim not to do that one. And he was convincing Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam for that one also. What are the 3 places? These 3 places are famous as the pillars. We call them Jamara. Jamara in Arabic language means a pillar. And that's why we call it 3 Jamarat, the 3 pillars. There is a big building right now. If you see the picture of that Jamarat, you can see multi-story building. And originally there were pillars. What the Saudi government did first, they made 3 pillars, which was the symbol that that's the places. So people used to go, if you see the old pictures of Jamarat, you will see something like a well. And there is a pillar there, and the people used to throw pebbles there. To avoid congestion and stampede and such type of issues, they decided to construct multi-story building there. There are 3 to 4 story buildings there, 3 pillars, and there is a huge building there. And the people do stoning in 3 different floors over there. So it helps to control the congestion and to avoid the crowd there also, because there are many people who lost their lives in the previous years while doing stoning there. Because when you stone shaitan, maybe it hits the opposite side. Sometimes there is too much crowd, people pushes each other, and it led to the death of many people there. So that is Jamarat, the 3 pillars. What the pilgrim has to do, this is what we need to focus on. If you look at the outline, it's never asked in 10-mark question. By chance, it's asked as a 10-mark question. You can deal with that in this way. How you will do that? We will talk about the 3 pillars, the belief behind that, the background. Where do we collect the pebbles, by the way? Muzdalifah. How many pebbles we have to collect? You can talk about 49 or 70. We will talk about calculation. I made the calculation here below also. You can use that calculation here. And after this, you need to talk about how many recommended methods. Okay. When you do Jamarat, when you stone the shaitan, you will not go and take 7 stones in your hand, pebbles, and throw it towards the shaitan. There is a way when you have to do that. You have to do niyyah. Then holding it with your thumb and index finger, one by one, 7 pebbles thrown toward the shaitan. There is a dua for it, that is Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, or saying Takbir while throwing it. So you need to throw that one by one, 7 pebbles in a one go, but one by one separately, and you need to make dua and intention which you would write there. Pillars names, we need it. What are the pillars names? You can see on the left side here. The Jamara al-Sughra is the smallest pillar. Jamara al-Wusta is the medium-sized pillar, and Jamara al-Ukhba is the biggest pillar, which is representing the 3rd time when Shaitan tried to stop Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. So three pillars should be known to you and you should know their names and now the days in which you will stone them. Okay, we have done the method of Hajj till 9th, even the morning of 10th of Zilhajj. When I was winding up the discussion in the last class, I said on 10th of Zilhajj, the pilgrim is going to stone the biggest shaitan. So you are going to talk about on 10th, 7 pebbles, the biggest shaitan. You will write his name, Jamara al-Uqba, and there is another name for it. What's that? What's the bigger or big in Arabic language? We call it Kabir or Cobra. That we call it Jamara al-Kubra. If you find the word Jamara al-Kubra, it's also fine, it's also acceptable here. Okay, so after this, how many days you have to stone after that one? 11, 12, and 13. On 11, 12, 13, there is nothing to be done except stoning of shaitan. I will explain it when I will continue with the method of Hajj there. But how many pebbles we will use on 11, 12, and 13, by the way? We will be using 3 pebbles on, 21 pebbles on 11, 21 pebbles on 12th, and 21 pebbles on 13th. So what's the total now? 21, 21, 21. That's 3 days, 63, and 7 on the, so that's 70, right? Stoning on 13th is optional. You can write it. You must write it. Actually, it's there in my model answer. The stoning on 13th is optional. If someone do not want to stay till 13, that person can leave. I will show you the Quranic reference, which you can write there. And that person needs 49 pebbles then. If someone is sure is going to stay or Hajj till 12th at Mina, that person needs 49 pebbles. Someone who wants to stay till 13, that person needs. Stoning is wajib. We need to know the ruling of that. Stoning of shaitan or rami is wajib, and then we talk about significance. What is the importance of stoning of shaitan in our daily lives, by the way? How is it important in our daily life? You're stoning shaitan there. Does it affect or impact us? Can you see the shaitan really? The shaitan is there. What's the purpose of doing that? What's the feeling you are having in your mind? That shaitan order and advices should be rejected. We are not just doing it. Yes, so you should not obey. You should not obey the shaitan. You should not. You should be aware about the traps of shaitan in the daily life, and that is the symbolic way of representing that one. So it's required in our daily life. Moving back to quick recap, Rami or stoning of Jamarat or stoning of shaitan needs these points in it there. What are these pillars representing? What are the days when you do stoning? And how many stones you need, from where you collect it, and what's the ruling? If someone do not do the stoning, that person's Hajj is okay, but that person has a fine, a penalty of additional sacrifice for that person. Understand? That is Rami. Why I explain Rami? Because I need to discuss it again in Hajj method. Right now, you just need to understand what is Rami and how many days we need to do that one. I will show you a few questions. You will realize how do we need to answer it our questions there. Okay. After Rami, we have one more block. एक और चीज हमें अभी discuss करनी है, that is sacrifice. When we talk about the concept of sacrifice, I told you what comes in your mind, the reason behind sacrifice. Why do we do sacrifice on Eid? If I talk about Eid, why do we sacrifice on Eid? As a remembrance of Hazrat Ibrahim and Ismail. Why does pilgrim do sacrifice actually? Remembrance of Hazrat Ibrahim, but there is another one. Any other reason? Why do we sacrifice? If you remember, I was telling you about 3 types of Hajj, and I said it's not obligatory in one type of Hajj. That's Hajj Ifrat. No sacrifice is compulsory, right? So why it's compulsory in the rest of the 2? What happens in rest of the 2? Hajj Qiran and Tamattu. Do we do just Hajj only or we do Hajj and Umrah both? That's the reason why we have to do the sacrifice here. So you need to understand that this Hajj Tamattu and Hajj Qiran, you have to do the sacrifice. And the reason behind it is because Allah has blessed a person with 2 opportunities in a one Hajj. You have to explain questions where you will see you need these points there. So when you're performing Hajj Qiran or Hajj Tamattu, you have to perform sacrifice. Where you should perform sacrifice? Can I perform it in Pakistan? Like someone is there for Hajj in Saudi Arabia and that person calculated the cost of a gold sacrifice in the way of Allah is costing, for example, 1,000 riyals, which is equal to somewhere 70 to 80,000 Pakistani rupees. And that person called in Pakistan, they said you can buy a gold for 45,000 maybe or 50,000. And that person is thinking, why shouldn't I save 30,000? Waqi sacrifice acceptable nahi hogi. The sacrifice of Hajj has to be performed within the boundaries of haram. Haram boundaries is the restriction, so we should make sure that sacrifice is done. Can we eat the meat from the sacrifice Hajj? Yes, we can eat it, but most of the people, they donate it and they leave it on Saudi government, and then they send it to some of the countries, Muslim countries where the meat is required. Maybe the case of Palestine, Syria, or such countries, they send it there directly. But there is no need to write that detail. You just need to mention what's the timing for sacrifice. Normal timings for us. When do we do sacrifice? We start sacrificing. They start from 10th of Zilhajj. Bakra Eid jo hoti hai, Eid al-Adha. So the pilgrim is also going to do sacrifice on 10th of Zilhajj, but after stoning of biggest shaitan. We will talk about method. Abhi main uski taraf aa raha hu. After stoning of biggest shaitan on 10th of Zilhajj, pilgrim can do sacrifice. Either he can do himself, he can make someone responsible to do that one, because mostly it's not possible. You will go to the, because you cannot slaughter like Pakistan. You buy a goat and just slaughter it. No, you can't do that in Saudi Arabia and most of the countries. What you need to do, you need to go to slaughterhouse. So people are unable to go there. So what they do, they ask someone responsible, mostly the Hajj group head, do that one, and they update your sacrifice is done. When your sacrifice is done, you can move to the next steps afterward. Up. If someone is not able to do sacrifice, someone performed Hajj Qiran, someone performed Hajj Tamattu, and that person is not able to sacrifice, paise hi nahi hai, real short ho gaya, what that person will do? Allah does not burden a person beyond his or her capacity. There is a way out for that one. What is the way out? Did I write it here? No. What if someone is unable to sacrifice? Can anyone tell me what's the solution for that person? What is the relaxation for that person if he or she is not able to sacrifice in Hajj? I'm talking about Hajj. What he or she will do? In any way, any idea? You have done the topic of Hajj in schools, right? Okay. It is fasting. How many fast? 10 days. But how to fast? Same method, but 3 days fasting in Hajj days and 7 days fasting after Hajj days. Understand? When you're back to your home, then you can complete it. But don't do that to save the 1,000 riyal of the sacrifice. It is for the one who cannot afford it. Someone has the amount and he can afford the sacrifice, and that person is saying, I will do fasting, 1,000 riyal ka main shopping kar loon for Pakistani people or something. No, that has to be used. If you have amount, you have to use it, like a sacrifice. If you can't, financial issues or other issues are there, then this is the permission that the person can do fasting. You need to develop it. Abhi main aapko uski details bhi dikha raha hu, from where you will get the idea about that one. Okay, moving on to the next discussion. When you move to the next part, okay. So, sorry. We were talking about sacrifice. Sacrifice is done, clear. That is one thing which we need. After you are done with sacrifice discussion, the pilgrim is moving towards one very important thing about which everyone is concerned, the hairstyle and all of these things. So your Hajj is not going to be complete. You are not going to be out of ihram restriction until you do either halaq or qasr or cutting of the hair. I will talk about each of them. Halaq means shaving of head. It's recommended for the men to shave the head after Hajj or Umrah is done. But if someone is worried about a hairstyle, not hairstyle actually, if someone has pain in the hair or some disease or something, so the men are allowed to do qasr, trimming of the hair. But the Quranic reference is also there about permission to trim the hair if someone is not able to shave the head there. Okay. And then we have reward promised. Yes. That's what I'm saying it, but that the sacrifice is not the sacrifice of just financial resources and all of these things. Sacrifice is your desires also. Even, you know, the amount which you are using in the Hajj, it's not easy to arrange that amount, but you are doing it. So it's recommended to do that when I'm telling you the reward for that one. By the way, someone just trim the hair or cut their hair, even it's fine, it's acceptable, but recommended to do head shave for this one. Okay, moving on. A reward difference. What's the reward difference? If someone just had head shaved and someone trimmed the hair, it's allowed to trim the hair. The difference is the reward for the person who do the head shave is twice as the reward of a person who trimmed the hair. As per hadith of Holy Prophet ﷺ. Prophet ﷺ hadith is mentioned if you go to for Umrah or Hajj, and you finish your sa'i there at Marwa, there is a hadith written there where the people finishes their sa'i. There is hadith is written there. So you can reference that hadith reference could be added in it. Okay, the reward is more, by the way, for a person who gets his head shaved compared to the person who gets trimmed. But it doesn't mean fight with someone who came back from Umrah and you say did not shave your head. This is the person's own decision. We are not the one to judge. But that's the recommendation. For men, for women, it's cutting a lock of hair only. That's the requirement to come out of the ihram restriction. This is the total what we need to write. What is the topic, by the way, we are talking about? Cutting or shaving of the hair to finish your ihram restrictions. Okay. What did we discuss till now? We talked about Rami, stoning of shaitan. We talked about sacrifice, the rulings related to it. And then we talked about cutting and shaving of the head there. We needed it because we have to complete the Hajj method. Back again. Moving to the Hajj method again, which we have started, yes. Okay, just like make a one fold of the hair on the finger and then cut that part. Okay, that's the total way. Okay, we discussed about the method of Hajj yesterday. We talked about 8th of Zilhajj. We talked about 9th of Zilhajj. We talked about the night between 9th and 10th of Zilhajj. And then we talked about 10th of Zilhajj morning only. And I told you, in my handout, when you will see my handout, you may get a little bit confused, but don't get confused. What did I do? I connected the Pebbles discussion with 10th of Zilhajj there. So you can see what has to be done on 11, 12, and 13 here with the 10th day, by the way. I will tell you what you need to write here. On 10th of Zilhajj, pilgrim has to do three main things. What are the three main things? Leave Muzdalifah. He is in Muzdalifah, right? Whole night has been passed at Muzdalifah. After Fajr prayer, leave Muzdalifah and go to Mina. Why to go to Mina? To do the stoning of shaitan. How many shaitans he will do stoning on 10th of Zilhajj? One only, the biggest shaitan. How many pebbles he will use? You will write 7 pebbles, write the method one by one. If you want to go in more details, holding it, the way you hold it, you will hold it with your thumb and index finger. You will talk about that point. If you want, you can write it also. All right. So that's the way how you do. Then we can see. Yes, yes. So that's the point which you will write here, how to do the stoning on 10th of Zilhajj. Stoning is done. A pilgrim will go for what? Sacrifice. When you will do sacrifice, if you are performing Hajj Qiran and Hajj Tamattu, there is no sacrifice for a pilgrim who is doing Hajj Ifrad. What that person will do? He will not do sacrifice. Hajj Ifrad person will leave sacrifice, and Qiran and Tamattu people will do the sacrifice of animal. And I told you the rule. Look at the rule here. If I will suggest you to have a look at that part, this one. After Rami, all the way till here, this is all about sacrifice. Quranic references which are required, you can see the 2 references here. You can look at the rulings. I would suggest you to read that part if you are talking about Hajj method and you are talking about sacrifice ruling there. Okay, this is what is required in one question. I will show you the Cambridge question where is it required there. Aapne khali ye nahi likhna sacrifice kyun karna. You have to talk about what days you can do sacrifice. What's the ruling for someone who is unable to do sacrifice? Write all of it. Your answer will expand automatically. Hajj is not done yet. Which day we are in? We are on 10th of Zilhajj. What we have done till now in the morning, leave Muzdalifah, go to Mina, stoning of the biggest shaitan. After you are done with biggest shaitan stoning, you will move for sacrifice. Details of sacrifice. And then what the pilgrim has to do, either you are performing Hajj Ifrad, you are performing Hajj Qiran and Tamattu. Everyone has to do one thing, cutting of the hair. The details of halaq and qasar, I already explained it to you. It's mentioned here. And permission, ruling, references are there from that. So आप यहाँ से इसको points मिलेंगे. 10th का एक action और. Yes. Someone raise the hand. Yes. Okay. All right. So you have to talk about cutting of hair, shaving of the head, discussion there, and after that you are out of ihram restriction. Sacrifice is done. You have shaved your head or cut your hair. Ab you can come in your normal dress. But still there is one thing which you have to do. What is that? That is the pillar of Hajj. If you miss it, the Hajj is not valid. And there is a time for that, but its time is starting from now. What is that action? That is Tawaf-e Ziyara, or we call it Tawaf-e Ifada, or we call it Tawaf-e Rukun. 3 types of Tawaf. This is one actually, Tawaf-e Rukun, Ifada, Ziyara, ek hi cheez hai. It is the Rukun, pillar of Hajj. It has to be performed after that. But if you're feeling tired, you don't want to go for that tawaf, it's difficult, you can postpone it to upcoming 2 days. The time starts from now, but it's valid till sunset, or in some books it's written noon of 12th of Zilhaj. ये आपने वहाँ पे लाजमी लिखना है. And that's going to be helpful when you are talking about तवाफ़ ज़ियारत separately also. तो वहाँ पे भी आपको detail help करेगा. अब what is missing here? That's 10th of Zilhaj. What are the days of Hajj? 8 till 13. We talked about 8, we talked about 9, we talked about 10th. What about 11, 12, and 13? If you remember in the beginning, I was talking about Rami of Jamarat, stoning of Jamarat. Even if you look back again, this paragraph here, you can see the details here. What do you have to do on 11th, 12th, and 13th, by the way? Just stoning of Shaitan. And you will write the detail of the stoning of Shaitan each day after Zohar prayer time, after the noon. Pilgrim will go to 3 pillars, smaller, middle, like Jamara Sughra, Jamara al-Wusta, and Jamara al-Kubra. The smallest one, the medium, and the bigger pillars have to be stoned. How many pebbles? 7 pebbles each, one by one. And how many pebbles you will use each day? 21 pebbles. So you will mention this will happen on 11, this will happen on 12, and this will happen on 13th also. But I told you, 13th is optional. If you look at the last line of this paragraph, you will see the reference here. Can you see the reference? And remember Allah during the appointed days, but whoever hastens, means leave early, wants to leave early in 2 days, there is no sin on him. And someone who wants to stay, there is no sin on him also. So if you want to stay on 13th, you can stay. If you don't want to stay on 13th, you can leave and you can come back. Pakistan nahi aana apne means that is the Mina. Hajj main actions are taking place only on 8th till 12th or 30th. That's the total Hajj day. हमारे Pakistan से लोग जाते हैं, they go for 40 days, 25 days, 30 days. We normally think Hajj is that long. Hajj is not that long. Hajj just needs 5 days to 4 to 5 days. I performed it when I was in Saudi Arabia, so I just needed 4 days only. And I just needed 1 day for traveling from the Dammam all the way to Makkah and then moving back. So, yes? No, पैदल कहाँ से? Saudi में कहाँ? Saudi में गाड़ियाँ इतनी अच्छी थी, why पैदल चलना है? Okay, but anyway, that is, people go by air, people go by their own cars, it's not an issue. But the Hajj days are just 4-5 days. Up to Pakistan, so look, there is a different issue because they have to adjust the flight, they have to adjust the load and all of these things. So you can see the people who go for less days, they pay more to bear the cost of the flights, which are costly during Hajj days. The Hajj is total of 5 to 6 days. What is recommended after Hajj, other than shopping for the Pakistani people and all of these things? What is recommended for the people to do after performing Hajj? Yes, go to Medina. That's a 4-mark question, by the way. Why the Muslims visit Medina? So there are a number of reasons which you can write there in it. What could be the reasons why the people go to Medina and they visit Medina? Yes, grave of Holy Prophet. Or that's right. The one who visited my grave after my death is like he visited me in my life. That's all, one point. Or even you can go with alternate hadith related to it, that one. Any other reason why the people go to Medina? Okay, we can talk about Jannatul Baqi, the place where the companions, Masjid al-Nabawi, but don't write just K. We go there to perform prayer in Masjid al-Nabawi. It's just identification. You will get level 1. How to get higher level? You will mention to perform prayer in Masjid al-Nabawi, as performing prayer in Masjid al-Nabawi is rewarded more. Can you see the development in the sentence? If you just mention that people go to Medina to perform prayer in Masjid al-Nabawi, that will give you level 1 mark. If you mention so, as there is a big reward, and you will talk about the reward, the examiner will give you 2 out of 4 rather than giving you 1 out of 4. This is 1 point. Then take another reason, like you told Prophet's grave. I may say Masjid al-Quba, going to Masjid al-Quba. You know the Masjid al-Quba background. And what's the reward for performing prayer in Masjid al-Quba? Prophet said, the one who performs 2 rakat in Masjid al-Quba is equal to performing Umrah in the month of Ramadan. That's a big reward there. So you can write about that one. Some students even write to buy khajur or the dates which are cheap. They are acceptable. Cambridge accepts it, but it is not a genuine or a valid point. By the way, Cambridge said we may give mark for that one if you justify it. Because this is one of the reasons why people go to Medina. Khajur wants us to a variety of dates are there, for example. So you may get marks for that. Okay. That is an additional question which I just added in it. Hajj method pe question kaise aaya? I told you in the last class. Have a look at it once again before I move to other questions here. This was asked in, I showed you already, but I will just show you quickly once again so you will know what is expected in it. October November 2024 पाकिस्तानी वेरिएंट क्वेश्चन है और ये क्वेश्चन पेपर है आपके सामने. Whatever I explain, you will find it here. All the days of Hajj are called days of Tashriq, all days together. And if I talk about 8th of Zilhajj, day of Tarwiyah, 9th of Zilhajj, day of Arafah, 10th of Zilhajj, day of Nahar, the sacrifice, 11th and 12th are called, this is first day of Ayyamut Tashriq, the second day of Ayyamut Tashriq, there is a third day also. Cambridge did not write it here. Look at the question, why there is no need to write it. Question wording is 8th till 12th of Zilhajj. Cambridge sometimes, okay, let's leave this one. Cambridge sometimes ask you first 3 days of Hajj. I will show you that question also. First 3 days of Hajj means 8, 9, and 10, all, okay? And sometimes they say just 10th of Zilhajj. So you need to talk about 10th of Zilhajj only. I will show you that question also. So make sure question wording is good. This is the question which was asked in October, November. Yes. No, you will stick to 10th, but you can connect it. How, for example, if they ask you just on 10th, by the way, Cambridge asked the 10th in a different way. They said what the pilgrim do on 10th of Zilhajj and what rest of the Muslims are doing on that day. So you have to talk about the Hajj pilgrims, 10th of Zilhajj details and Eid al-Adha for the rest of the Muslim nation. And if by chance it's asked alone, you will start your answer that the pilgrim after passing the whole night at Muzdalifah. So you will connect from the Muzdalifah discussion. And if you want, you can briefly talk about starting Hajj from Mina and going to Arafat and then staying at Muzdalifah. You can give a background, but don't go in detail of it. The detail is mainly about that one. Overview, but plus you will make detail of the method of stoning. You will go in detail of Qurbani sacrifice. You can talk about Tawaf-e-Ziyara detail there. Automatically your answer will be stretched. Okay, this is one question. This is likely for you people. There is another question which is just asked for the students who just appeared for CI exams. And that's the reason why I'm explaining things to you in chunks, in blocks, because the Cambridge has splitted the question and they ask like that way. Look at that. I will show you some questions right now, which are asked over a period of time to make your understanding clear. That's the latest question actually, which is just asked. And I was telling you, Cambridge can change the wording here. Instead of ihram, they may write tawaf here. Instead of sa'i, they may write something else like miqat. They may write sacrifice also. They may say stay at Muzdalifah. So different things could be possible there. But question is tricky. Many students did not get more than 6 or 7 marks. There are two things. What's the second thing here in it? Students miss. If you remember, I was telling you what's the importance of this action in the Hajj. And that's why I was asking that when I was talking about stoning of shaitan. And I said, what's the importance in my daily life? Because that's required here. And majority of our students, they were expecting A star or A. Their grades were a bit lesser because they did not see this thing in the question there. And the other question was also difficult. It was about Hazrat Ali's administration, which majority of students did not do that, by the way. So they have to take a risk. They were happy that you are doing it perfectly, but the issue is you're online also. Okay. So yes. So we have to talk about the ihram, sa'i, details, plus you're going to add the point of importance also. And I will suggest you to read this to understand how to develop it. We are perfect in ihram topic, but we are doing mistake here. So this is 4-mark question added in a 10-mark question, and this is what we need to make sure कि आपके answer में गड़बड़ नहीं होना चाहिए. I showed you some latest questions. Now I have opened some papers. I am worried. I have closed those papers right now. Okay, anyway, I will show them in another class. There are around 7 to 8 questions which are there here. Let's look at the question bank here. Actually, I opened the past paper for that. Starting with few Cambridge questions and see, are you able to answer them or not? No, not this one, sorry. First, I will show you the question bank, then I will come to this one. I want to show you the years in which the questions were asked. Starting from here. 2 questions I showed you. The Hajj question was not asked from May, June 2022 till the 2 questions which I showed you. Okay, May, June 2022 के बाद 2024 October, November. And 2025 October, November. So the questions before that are here. Like I was talking about 2 pillars combined together. This is 2 pillars combined together, Day of Arafah and Eid al-Adha. So you need to make sure Eid al-Adha celebration, not Eid al-Fitr. Some students add the details of Eid al-Fitr. We don't need it here. You will focus on 9th of Zilhaj. Now, the day of Arafah, I was telling you the names. I said, make sure names should be clear to you. Day of Arafah is 9th of Zilhaj. So just talk about 9th of Zilhaj and then Eid al-Adha celebration for Haji, the pilgrim, and also the rest of the world there. B part, this question is very easy question, but you need to structure it carefully. Hajj should be performed. The Prophet performed Hajj only once. What do you think? We should perform once only, also as the Prophet did it, or we can perform as many times as we can do today? Some people might be saying, okay, we should do Hajj once only. We have reasons for that one. And some students say, no, we have to perform Hajj as many times as possible. Obligate, the one who will say one time only, you will say once it's obligatory. And Prophet did it once, you will develop it. And you will go for alternate. It's not obligatory after one time. So the people should use that amount somewhere where more obligatory actions are. They give examples. Maybe to help the poor people or the arranging the donations for the people who are suffering from calamities, or someone may say to give chance to someone else, pay the amount to that person, then that person will get the opportunity to go there. This is for the one who will say once only. By the way, majority of the students will say many times. Why? Hajj became obligatory on Prophet in 9th year of Hijrah. And Prophet died in 11th. Actually, 11th ka bhi beginning tha. So he had 1 year. Ninth Hazrat Abu Bakr was sent, and the 10th Prophet. That's the last year in the life of Holy Prophet. So maybe Prophet's next year was there. He may have performed Hajj. So that's the reason people can perform Hajj as many times as they. There is one student who wrote, our first Hajj is always full of errors and mistakes. So we should make sure we perform at least one more Hajj to overcome the previous mistakes. Yeah, that's a genuine point if someone wants to write it, because when I was living in Saudi Arabia, so like me and my friends, they used to go for Umrah. And once they were counting Umrahs, that friend said, cut that Umrah. We did not perform that thing well, so that is not counted. Cut that Umrah, because we are not able to be sure what is the right thing. We learn gradually. You can write that reason in Hajj also. So that's up to you. How do you develop it? But do justify your point. You can go for both sides. It should be done once, justify it, or it shouldn't be. It can be done as many times as you can. Next question. And complete Hajj and Umrah. I missed one topic. I have to talk about it. That is Umrah. We will do that inshallah in the next class. It's a detailed discussion. Method of Umrah and how is it different from Hajj? This is one big discussion. It's a 10-mark question. I will come to that discussion a little bit later, and we will talk about that discussion also. Now moving to the next question. That's the question which I was talking about. 10th of Zilhaj question here. It came in May, June 2021. And they have asked, what do we do? Pilgrim do on 10th of Dhul-Hajj, and what the rest of the Muslims are doing that day. Benefits of is also left. We have to talk about the benefits of Hajj question also. So this is also left. We will work on that benefits of Hajj question also. And after this, we can see here, this question is my first question in my handout, by the way. That is a bit tricky question. Main observances of the annual pilgrimage. That's the whole question. You need to talk about the whole Hajj performance there, which is a little bit tricky. You need to plan कि आपने कैसे उसको cover करना है, because you will start from your hometown, actions during Hajj, to all the days of Hajj will be included there. So your answer will be covering from home, crossing Miqat, Niya, Ihram, Tawaf, and then whole method of Hajj is there. So that's going to be a little bit tricky question. There is 4-2 written here. Can anyone tell me the reason why the code is written? Oh no, the code is same, but why 4-2 is written, not 2-2 is written here? There are 2 variants only, not specified. No. Actually, the code is same. It's either 2058 or 0493. That's the first time, not the first time, even I think that's the last time for Islamia. The breach was done. The paper was leaked actually. So the original paper was, this is the time from where the variant system was launched afterwards. If you have time open, variant 4.2 of 2013, it's written there. It's re-paper actually. The students have to reappear for that one. And that is 2013, May, June. And from there, variants are there. May, June. कर लिया था students गए wait. I think that happened with Pak Studies and Islamiyat both.
Sir?
Yes.
सर अगर इसी तरह पेपर लीक हो जाए तो फिर अगर कोई बच्चा जो अपीयर होते हैं फिर पेमेंट फिर से होगी?
नहीं, पेमेंट नहीं होती, गुड पॉइंट। वैसे कभी ऐसा होता नहीं है, ना ऐसा होना चाहिए। अब तो ये एक्चुअली इसके दोनों वेरिएंट्स लीक थे ना, अगर एक वेरिएंट होता एक नहीं होता तो यू हैव ऑप्शन कि वो उसका इक्विवेलेंस बना देते हैं। आई रिमेंबर दैट बिकॉज सम ऑफ माय स्टूडेंट्स अपीयर्ड इन दैट ईयर, सो दे गेव टू ऑप्शंस टू द स्टूडेंट्स, either they can go for read paper, and they gave option because many students traveled abroad and they were not in Pakistan there. So they gave option they can appear in October, November, free of cost. They will not be charged, but their result will be withheld. And they have to appear in that exam there. So that is, this happened in 2030. Anyway, that's none of our discussion right now. But if this happens, और मैं आपको एक चीज बताता हूँ, जब भी आप पेपर दें, पेपर वन बेस्ट अपना दें, especially the situation like Pakistan situation, yeah, overall worldwide situation is there. Mostly the second paper is sometimes bad based on your first paper. For some reason, if one paper is cancelled out for a reason, so they will make your result based on one component there. So you need to make sure either you're giving history first or you're giving Islamic paper one. For Islamic paper, एक variant जो हो गया वो आपके लिए बहुत significance रखता है. So make sure the first paper is done. Definitely both papers have to be done, but first is something on which your second might be based. So keep this in your mind. पिछले साल जो war situation हो गया था, but paper was not cancelled for paper 2 actually. The students were appearing it. The next day, the war, whole night people were confused, but paper was conducted. But if someone by chance has done paper 1 badly, that person may suffer due to that one. That person might be having a strong area of paper 2. So that's what need to be careful about it. Okay, you can see some more questions here. We have Ihram discussion. I discussed about it. Sa'i, we discussed about, no, we did not discuss about Sa'i. This is what I have to discuss here. Rami and Qurbani. Qurbani, that's the reason why I'm talking about Qurbani. Those who were seeing the Qurbani word, I wrote 3 words next to Qurbani, by the way. When I was talking about Qurbani topic there. There is a word called Udhiya. I wrote it there. UDHI, it's Arabic word for sacrifice, okay? And I wrote Qurbani, I wrote sacrifice. Because Qurbani is not the word for Arab students. Arabs don't know what is Qurbani. And they will take it by the word sacrifice. Arabs use the word Udhiya. Cambridge may use the word Udhiya here, so that means the sacrificial animal or the sacrifice, okay? Why do people try to strive so hard to touch the black stone? How do you develop that question? Why they strive so hard to touch the black stone, by the way? Yes. Anyone from the last? Yes, Aris. Why do the people try to strive so hard to touch the black stone? Why do we try to touch that one? Yes, anyone? Sunnah of Prophet. One more. Okay, Sunnah of Hazrat Ibrahim, Sunnah of Holy Prophet. From where that stone came actually? Stone from paradise. What's the significance as per Hadith of Holy Prophet? It erases or it absorbs the sin as per the Hadith of Holy Prophet. So you will write these points. 2 points, develop it and explain it. It gives a feeling to the person that God is not there physically among the people, but God has given some sources which may make us connected with the God. So this is the point which you can write there. Okay. All right. Then next question, Ihram. Can you see the same question almost repeated in 2025? Other than Tawaf, they wrote Sa'i there, Rami there. So the question is repeated, but one thing, I will show you one more word, and then there is another question after that one. That is the types of Tawaf. We discussed about it already. Okay, now one thing is left. On whom Hajj is obligatory, we did not talk about that. This is the beginning topic actually. On whom Hajj is obligatory and who is exempted from the Hajj. How do we answer that part? By the way, it's never asked as a 10-mark question. It is asked with 2 parts. For example, if you have to write that, you will start with Hajj is a pillar of Islam. And the reference back again, the same reference which I told you in all the pillars. Islam is based on 5 things and then all of that. And whom is Hajj obligatory, by the way? What are the criteria? Those who can afford it, but what's the criteria? Financially, maybe the health, the adult, mature Muslim, they can make the journey. Okay, I will show you that saying. Okay, the sanity is required here. For this question, I will suggest you to look at this model answer here. This one, it's here. So when you scroll it back again, you will find out the Muslim, adult, sane, healthy enough to perform Hajj, wealthy to bear the expenses, develop it, availability. Regarding the women, There is the ijma done by the scholars. The Saudi government previously they don't used to allow the woman to travel alone to Saudi Arabia to perform either Hajj or Umrah. Now they allow that. So based on ijma of the Saudi scholars, but if still someone is belonging from a school of thought, woman cannot travel without mahram, so she has to wait until she has a valid mahram to accompany her. And some scholars who allows it, the woman can go with the women group and she can perform Hajj in that. If you can develop that point there, okay? Who is exempted? Details are here. You can write the COVID situation, the pandemic, epidemic, airline issues, maybe, or fear of enemy, war-like situation. God saves us from situation. Lekin achanak jang ki situation ban gayi. The planes are cancelled, the flights are cancelled. So the person can postpone that Hajj that year, and if he or she dies that year, that person is not accountable for that. There is a need not to delay the Hajj if it becomes obligatory on a person, thinking that we will grow old, then we will go. So that is not something good. Though Hajj removes the sin of a person, but people think first we will do whatever bad things we have to do, then we will go for the Hajj. And this is the experience I had it. My head of the school there in Saudi Arabia, he was Jordanian actually. I was going for Hajj. He said, like, I was at around 35 or 36 years old at that time. He looked at me, he said, "You're so young, why you're going for Hajj?" Now, I said, "It's a good age to go for Hajj." He said, "No, what about when you come back? So how you will do the bad deeds after that one? Because you should be cautious." This is a good thing. They know Hajj is something which changes your life. But it doesn't mean you will delay the Hajj, that I will grow old, when I will leave everything in this world, then I will go for Hajj to get clean before dying. No, sometimes you do not get that opportunity. So you should write that one. It is recommended not to delay the Hajj if it becomes obligatory. पाकिस्तान में ट्रेंड क्या है? बच्चों की शादी हो जाए, ये हो जाए, वो हो जाए, फिर उसके बाद जाएंगे, and mostly the people do not get that chance. So it's good not to delay. Okay. There are few topics left in this, which we will